Shalom. First off, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakudash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to the hopeful elect that are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. And to all my brothers out here preaching this truth to you, I say Shalom. This is a Montazar from the Chicago camp coming back at you again with another lesson entitled, How Many Lessons and Warnings Is It Going to Take, Jake? So, how many lessons is it going to take? You so called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. How many lessons, how many videos is it going to take? How much proof do you need? Proof that you are the Israelites that are recorded and written in the Bible, all right? And proof that these heathen are our enemies. So, the most recent story that's all over the news is the death of this young Jake named Nolan Wells. Okay? And he had an Edomite friend group. And this Edomite friend group he was attached to, and he went to celebrate the 4th of July, okay, with these Edomites. They came back, he didn't. They were in possession of his cell phone and car keys, okay, which allegedly he was arguing over. Okay, it was a big fight because he was allegedly saying, "Give me back my fucking phone." Right? So that right there, the fact that they had his phone after, okay, um, after he was so-called missing and winds up dead, they become the prime suspects. But yet the mother is a judge, okay, and these all of these kids, all right, after this boy went missing, they turned off all their social media. And they were in possession of his cell phone, and they were deleting data from off of his cell phone. And guess what? The parents had to track the phone down through GPS app and went and said, "I know the phone is here. Give it to me now." That's how they had to get it. They had to get the phone by threatening them, saying, "I know you got his phone. Give it to me now." That's how they was able to get the phone. They wouldn't have got the phone back if it wasn't for that. So that makes them the prime suspects. Okay? Let's take a look at a little bit of this. All right? And then I want to talk about a few things before I hit the scriptures. The death of 18-year-old Nolan Xavier Wells remains an open and highly scrutinized investigation as local authorities and his family clash over the circumstances surrounding his disappearance on the Barrier Island. Local law enforcement suspects accidental drowning, but Wells' family and civil rights attorneys strongly reject this conclusion, pointing to missing personal belongings, deleted phone data, and unverified accounts of his final hours. The disappearance and discovery. The outing on July 4th, 2026, Wells, a black student athlete and football player at Southwest Mississippi Community College, traveled by boat with high school friends to Horn Island, an undeveloped barrier island off the coast of Mississippi. Left behind, Wells' friends returned to the mainland without him. Local authorities claim the friends are cooperating and stated Wells voluntarily chose to stay back to talk to a young woman, assuming he would catch a ride back with someone else. The discovery. A friend called the Coast Guard around 11 p.m. on 4th of July, July 4th, and Wells' mother separately contacted police at midnight. Following a search operation, Wells' body was recovered from the water on Monday morning, July 6th. Key contradiction and suspicions. The family, represented by prominent civil rights attorney Ben Crump, hosted a press conference alongside Reverend Al Sharpton, highlighting several factors that do not add up. Possession of belongings. When Wells' friends returned, they were in possession of his car keys and cell phone. His father noted that it took several minutes of pressing before one friend handed over the keys. Deleted data. The family discovered that messages and Snapchat media from the day of the outing had been entirely wiped from Wells' phone. Conflicting witness statements. The young woman Wells was allegedly staying behind to speak with gave a different account, directly contradicting the family's narrative. Furthermore, the family questions how an elite athlete and capable swimmer could simply drown without anyone among the 200 beachgoers noticing or offering help. Potential altercations. Law enforcement is actively reviewing viral social media footage of a verbal argument on the island, while a close friend claims the fight involved different individuals and was not racially motivated. Civil rights advocates are refusing to discuss race, given that Wells was the only black person in his immediate group. The status of the investigation. Official autopsy. State officials performed an autopsy on Tuesday, July 7. However, official results and a toxicology report from the Mississippi State Medical Examiner's Office are pending and could take weeks. All right. So it has been noted that this state medical examiner, all right, has had a history, all right, of saying uh, inconclusive information, uh, being fast um, to being fast and ready to say there was no foul play. All right, when independent autopsies have stated that there have been foul play in the past. Okay, so in other words, this female state uh, medical examiner office has a history, okay, of getting it wrong. Let's put it that way. Independent investigation. Citing a deep distrust of the local law enforcement, rightfully so, the family has commissioned an independent autopsy to be conducted in Washington, D.C. Former NFL player Colin Kaepernick is funding the independent autopsy, while filmmaker Tyler Perry is covering funeral expenses. Call for evidence. The Jackson County Sheriff's Department has requested that anyone who was on the northwest tip of Horn Island on July 4th come forward with any photos, videos, or firsthand knowledge of arguments or disturbances. All right, so supposedly, Nolan was arguing with his friend group over his phone, and he was cursing and shouting and saying, "Give me back my effing phone." Okay. So that immediately makes them suspects, and that immediately that boat, okay, should go straight into forensic evidence. All right. So now, what brings me to this lesson? What brings me to this lesson is the fact that we've done so many lessons on this topic. All right, I've done so many lessons on this topic. Jake has to understand who he is and know who his enemies is. On this channel, I've done two lessons: Keep Me from the Hands of the Wicked, part 1 and 2. Okay, and in this lesson, I talk about the case of uh, what's her name, Tamala Horsford, the one black woman who was in the midst of Edomites with a sleepover, and then in the next morning, she was there was a 14-foot fall to her death supposedly. Okay, she's the only one dead. Okay. And then also, I did a 2-part lesson on swirling will get your ass deleted. You see these orange jumpsuits? That's because they're in prison after murdering so-called black women. I think in this lesson, there probably was at least 20 accounts of these so-called black women marrying, okay, and cohabitating with Esau Edom, all right? And they were all deleted. That's what RIP, rest in peace is all over the videos. Okay, so see, the warning is going out, but you stupid ass Jace ain't listening. This is Psalms 140 and 4. Keep me, O Lord Yahweh, from the hands of the wicked. Preserve me from the violent man. who have purpose to overthrow my goings. The proud have hid a snare for me and cords, and they have spread a net by the wayside. They have set gins for me. Selah. I said unto the Lord Yahweh, Thou art my power. Hear the voice of my supplications, O Lord. Okay? So it's been stated, allegedly, that one of Nolan Wells' friend group is related to someone in the clan. And that in order to be initiated into the clan, all right, you have to unalive a Jake. All right, so this is another line of possible um, motive. All right, now in closing, I want to rehash uh, the deaths of Talia Lowe and Tamala Horsford, which I did lessons on 3 years ago. 3 years ago. So these warnings is going out, and I just want to say all praises to the Lord. Call halal Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, because the Lord gave us this ministry, and we sounding the alarm, but you're not listening. Okay, so we're doing what the Lord told us to do, and we warning Jake. Okay, hey, but if it's your lot to get it, you gonna get it. This is both. This is the account of both Talia Lowe and Tamala Horsford. Both Talia Lowe and Tamala Horsford were black women whose sudden deaths at social gatherings were officially ruled accidental, but left their families and the public highly skeptical. Below is the detailed breakdown of the timelines, facts, and inconsistencies of both cases. Case number one, Talia Lowe, October of 21. Talia Lowe was an 18-year-old Grand Valley State University student. She grew up near Lake Michigan and South Haven, Michigan. Thursday, October 14, 2021, late evening, Talia goes to Pier Marquette Beach in Muskegon, Michigan with a group of fellow GVSU students, okay? And I'm just going to let you know those are Edomites. 10:45 p.m., emergency responders and the U.S. Coast Guard are dispatched to the beach following reports of a swimmer struggling in a severe rip current. Friday, October 15th, 2021, early morning, Talia's body is recovered from the water. December 21st, the Muskegon Police Department officially closes the case, ruling her death as an accidental drowning. Inconsistencies and red flags. Talia suffered from partial paralysis on her left side. Okay, so she was physically disabled, meaning she could not raise her left arm past her chest. Because of this, she explicitly knew she could not swim, feared deep water, and had promised her grandmother right before college that she would stay completely away from the lake. Behavior of the acquaintances. Family members noted that before Talia's body was even recovered by the Coast Guard, the students she was with had already fully packed up Talia's personal belongings. The phone password. Witness reports and family advocates noted that the girls with Talia were frantically calling people trying to guess or bypass the password to Talia's cell phone immediately after she went under, raising suspicion regarding what was on the device. So just like in the Nolan Wells case, here you have someone trying to delete data for a person posthumously. You're trying to delete data from a cell phone from a dead person. Doesn't that by default make you a suspect? Isn't that showing motive? I'm not trained in law enforcement, but isn't that showing motive? Case number two, Tamala Horsford, November 2018. Tamala Horsford was a 40-year-old mother of five who attended an overnight football mom sleepover at a home in Forsyth County, Georgia. She was the only black woman at the party. Okay, so she was around a bunch of Edomites. Saturday, November 3rd, 2018, Tamala arrives at the home to drink, eat, and play games with seven other adults. 1:47 a.m., November 4th, a partygoer leaves the house and claims that Tamala is alive and well, heading out to the back deck to smoke a cigarette. 1:57 a.m., the electronic log showed that the back door to the upstairs porch opens. At 7:30 a.m., the homeowner's boyfriend spots Tamala lying face down in the backyard below the deck. 8:59 a.m., a 911 call is placed nearly an hour and a half after she was first spotted. That's when they had to get their story straight. February 2019, Forsyth County Sheriff's Office rules her death as an accidental fall from the balcony, citing a 0.238 blood alcohol concentration or blood alcohol content, marijuana, and Xanax in her system. Summer of 2020 and 21, following massive public outcry, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation and the FBI reopened and reviewed the case. Both agencies ultimately stand by the original accidental ruling. Inconsistencies and red flag, the injuries versus the fall. Tamala suffered a broken neck and a lacerated heart, severe brain hemorrhaging, and defensive-looking cuts and bruises on her shins, hands, and wrist. A family forensic review argued these severe, extensive injuries did not align with a clean 14-foot fall into soft grass. The crime scene and investigation. No autopsy photos were initially taken of her body. Isn't that standard protocol? Furthermore, the homeowner's boyfriend admitted to touching and moving her body before the police arrived. Why would you do that? Why are you touching a dead person? Are you trying to manipulate the body? What are you doing? So the boyfriend admitted to touching and moving her body before the police arrived, heavily contaminating the scene. The 911 call delay in tone. There was a massive delay in calling 911. When the call was finally placed, listeners noticed the caller was bizarrely calm, and background audio allegedly captured other house guests laughing. The leak report. A county court officer who was the homeowner's boyfriend was later fired for internally accessing and reviewing the police report files, fueling theories of a cover up. All right. So there you have it. You got the history of Tamala Horsford, all right, and Talia Lowe, all right, outlined for you. Okay. You got Psalms 140:4. Keep me from the hands of the wicked. We talked about swirling, okay, the lessons that were gone out about swirling and being unalived. And we also talked about the previous lessons, keep me from the hands of the wicked. Two lessons out here, okay? All right. So this Nolan Wells death, okay, ultimately is judgment of the Lord, okay? So let's get these scriptures and close out. All right. So this is Sirach 12:10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass. And thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. Set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat, and thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beasts? Hey, listen, the Lord just got through likening these people to serpents and wild beasts. And the Lord said, who's gonna pity a charmer if he's bitten by a serpent? If you fucking with him, you're not supposed to be dealing with him. Verse 14. So one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? For a while he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagine how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first, and though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. He will shake his head and clap his hands and whisper much and change his countenance. Isaiah 10:5. O Assyrian, the rod of mine anger, and the staff in their hand is mine indignation. The Lord called the heathen the Assyrian, the rod of his anger, okay, and the staff of his indignation. I will send him against a hypocritical nation, and against the people of my wrath will I give him a charge. To do what? To take the spoil and to take the prey, and tread them down like the mire of the streets. So the Lord set these Edomites in a position, okay, where the Lord can judge us, all right, and pour out his indignation upon us. All right, that's what you have to understand. This is Psalm 17:3. Arise, O Lord Yahweh, and disappoint him. Disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. Okay, so the wicked, Esau, Edom, is the Lord's sword. Proverbs 29:26. Many seek the ruler's favor, but every man's judgment cometh from Yahweh. Ultimately, every man's judgment comes from the Lord. Okay? The scriptures just said it. We know that the issues of death belong to the Lord. This is Job 19:29. Be ye afraid of the sword, for wrath bringeth the punishments of the sword, that ye may know there is a judgment. All right? So you have to know that there's a judgment of the Lord based off of the sword. And who is the sword? The wicked. And in closing, this is Psalms 68:20. He that is our power is the power of salvation, and unto the Most High, the Lord, belong the issues from death. All right? So ultimately, all right, Nolan Wells' death is judgment of the Lord. Okay? And you have to understand who you are, and you have to understand who they are. And the question is, how many lessons and warnings is it going to take, Jake? How many times are you going to be unalived by these people under suspicious circumstances? All right. They go home. All right. They got your keys and your phone, and you unalived. How many lessons is it going to take, Jake? All right. So I pray that this lesson has been edifying. To the next one. Shalom.